What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pinpoint Unfiltered. I'm Rachel.
And it's your boy, Josh, the realtor of realtors, on our first live stream. This
Apparently.
is an epic
Fourth.
one. Who is this lovely guest we have?
Well, actually, what I wanted to say earlier is you actually know this person for the first time ever, or maybe the second time ever. Josh knows somebody that I've invited on our podcast. It is our friend, Ramiro Roballos, for those Americans that can't say his name, and it's fine. He is a co-founder and CEO of Tukki, an immigration platform that we are a partner with and we've done an event with, and I'm very, very excited. So welcome.
Thanks, Tim. I'm excited to be here.
We're still working on the sound machine. The sound machine is coming. We need more investors to afford the sound machine.
We need investors, period.
or just give me money and I'll do it a lot better. I don't know what to tell you. Ramiro, how you doing, buddy?
Good, and you?
Doing well. What is new? Tell us. Okay, first off, before we get into what's new, tell us about Tukki. Tell the people. We know, but they don't.
Yeah, of course. So Tukki is a U.S. immigration service. We have our own attorneys, the law firm, and the tech company. So basically, we work together. We partner to provide a better service for immigrants, for companies. We have been around for around 3 years. We have done several hundreds of visas at this point. And just making the process better. My own process as an immigrant when I came from Argentina was pretty rough. Less, I was expecting a better service, faster, more clarity, more transparency, more human treatment, and I didn't. So we started this to basically, provide that for folks.
I love that.
Nice. Let's go Messi, by the way.
Yeah, let's go Messi.
I was Argentina. I was gonna wear my jersey, but the game's tomorrow, so I'm worried.
So you're saving it. You don't want to get it dirty. I hear you.
Don't jinx it. Yeah, don't jinx it. Okay,
I have 2 jerseys, but
today I think I'm gonna go watch because my wife's from Uruguay, so we're watching the Uruguayan game today. So.
Okay, cool.
So, Ramiro, so Uruguay is my favorite international team. Then it's Argentina, and then it's Colombia. But also, all the good players, they left. They're all retired, from the Uruguay team, like Cavani.
Maybe it's
Suarez,
time to evolve.
Godin.
Yeah, Rachel, maybe it's time to evolve and change.
Just to bring Argentina to my number 1 team.
Now that I'm on the bandwagon, they're about to kill it. I got faith in my team now.
I don't know. But anyways,
guys,
World Cup is my favorite time.
There, at least live, pretty good. Okay.
No.
Okay, this is what we're doing today.
You would think that they'd be better, but they are really, really bad.
They're not really bad. They're just not playing. They're not playing well right now. That's okay.
This is the time that you need to play well.
We're about to turn up. Today is a turn up day. We're gonna be
too
fine.
Little, too late, my friend.
We're gonna be fine. There's a will, there's a way, and yeah. But anyway,
we'll see. Hopefully,
I'm pretty sure my wife could have used your services when she got here. Obviously, they give a lot of companies give some type of support, right? They they partner with other companies that kind of do what you do, but not in the extent like you're saying with the people, right? That's what it always boils down to. These things, this is a people helping people is the best way rather than so much tech. Rachel will tell you I'm not a tech person. I don't really care for it too much, other than it's going to help me help another person. But I feel in these processes, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, they just kind of leave it to tech, and they're like, oh, well, figure it out. Here you go. There's a couple websites and frequently asked questions, have at it. But having an actual person that you could touch, get in contact with, have coffee with, whatever, especially coming from certain areas where the sitting at the cafe and talking over whatever it is that you got to talk over is a huge part of the culture. To have people come here and it's oh, here's a piece of paper and go figure it out. It's difficult.
Yeah. I think that with all of our companies and services, Pinpoint Tukki, right? All these things that involve so personal things like moving or getting a visa or whatever, I think the human element is always very, very important. And I think especially these days where we're so used to talking with chatbots or AI or whatever, I think, people kind of value that more because it becomes a bit more, it's less frequent. So it's less of a commodity and more of a special moment. So I think people appreciate in-person things and human things more than before. But at the same time, all these processes, what we do in the background, they require a lot of work, right? So what typically happens with these service providers is that you want to spend time with people, but then you are 90% of your day doing other things that are not being with people because you're buried under work. And that's kind of the hypothesis between what we are doing, right? Like, hey, let's work with technology to just automate as much as we can of the groundwork, of the annoying work, of the admin work. But the ultimate result of that, or the ultimate objective, is like, so we can actually spend more time both on the more strategic part of things, like, okay, judgment calls, like, what to do, what not to do, what's the best advice from the attorneys and all that, and to have that human connection, right? I think it's both things are true. You do want to invest very heavily on technology, but not as an end, but to a means to the real end, which is providing that better service.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like we feel the same way, right? Like, um, we're trying to build a platform also that like just helps us become more efficient, more like it's operational rather than like a feature, right? Just so that we can be better and we can be more focused on the people that are actually making the move and how we can help them. I love that, especially now when U.S. immigration is so hard. I feel like people need that human connection even more. Um, do you guys differ from like let's any other type of immigration firm that like maybe spends more time with clients rather than just being like, hey, send us this and then update like randomly, or you kind of keep it status quo?
No, no. I don't think we keep status quo almost anything. But so, for example, so one thing that there's a few examples I can give you. Some are process wise, some are technology. So first of all, we don't do emails. We have our own kind of chat interface baked into the platform. So anytime like a client, they want to reach out to the attorney, they have any questions, they typically get a response within 1-2 hours. It also feels closer when you're texting with someone versus you send an
Hmm.
email and then it's a bit more formal. So it's a bit, I think even emotionally, it's a bit closer to have someone on chat, and you just chat
Hmm.
over. But then every single client we have kind of a mandatory, catch up every 2 weeks just to see how they're doing. Sometimes the catch up is full with questions about the platform, about the process. Sometimes it's like, how are you doing? And we've received, many feedbacks from our clients, even calling me and telling me like, look, like at this point with this paralegal, she's my friend. Like she knows everything about me, about my family, about the things I'm going through. And sometimes that's the biggest feedback. It's like not about the technology, not about the quality of the petition. It's like, dude, I really felt that support from this person. I feel that they really understand me. They really know my life, and they were there to support me along the way, um, which is great, right? And which is what we want to achieve. Again, of course, the most important thing is to build like a high quality petition, build it fast, and do your job correctly. But that other part is also as equally important.
Yeah, 100%. Every Christmas we get a card from a client, like with a picture of like the kids and the Christmas tree, and like it's lovely, like on a and this is not even a major relocation. This was just, someone who went from apartment in New York to another apartment in New York. Very normal brokerage type stuff, not what we're really like focused on now. But essentially the principle is still there where we like, treat them as people and treat them as like they have a family, and you get like, you build this connection, and this is a connection over a short period of time. This is not even like a month, months long, project. This is just, hey, I'm finding you an apartment. I could do that in a week. I'm maybe going to spend 2 days with you. Um, to get that every year is really nice. Like it's always funny because I'm like, oh, who's this number texting me? And then like I open it, I was like, oh, it's this family. It's a good feeling. It keeps when everything else is not going like, things are not moving as fast as you want them to have that reassurance, or that it's like, hey, I am doing something actually right and worthwhile. So yeah, I love that. I love the building of the connection.
Yeah, I think isn't that why we all do this, right? It's because like at one point or another we've had our own experiences where they weren't so great, and so we're just trying to change that for everyone else, right?
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, like I think we'll have our objectives, our metrics, everything you're
Sure.
chasing, but it's not the same how you achieve those things, and it's not the same, what you achieve in the middle of that, and sure, you're making a small impact maybe in their entire life, but at that moment it's really important that just
Mhm.
making things that you think are worthwhile, and achieve something good other than like earning money. It's a nice thing.
Yeah. I actually
Yeah.
was talking oh, so this same topic has now come up 3 times this week, um, for me. So I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and we were talking about how, a lot of companies start off like wanting to give back or doing something. They want to do something positive, right? But then they start making money, and then potentially they have investors, right? So like they only care about money. Um, and so at a certain point, it's like they forget or they just completely push aside why they started building their companies in the to begin with. And then um, um, you can judge me if you want. I watch a lot of the actor roundtable videos. I love watching actor interviews. Um, so Billy Magnuson is in this show called The Audacity, which I haven't seen, but he basically plays a startup founder, and he's like crazy person. And he was asked pretty much like the same question, like how do you like not the same question, but he answered it the same way. He was asked like, do you empathize with these tech founders? Um, and he was like, "Look, I think everybody starts again. They all start trying to build something, right? That's wholesome or that is useful to people. And then it's like, oh, I'm making money. Oh, but I really want to do this. But oh, I'm making money, right? Oh, that's making a lot of money. Um, and
First class flights don't pay for themselves.
right. So I feel like it's what you were just saying, right? Like you're trying to help people, and yes, there's the metrics and the things that you're trying to achieve, and this is still a business, right? But how can we as founders kind of keep ourselves grounded? Like, hopefully, both of our companies like make tons and tons and tons of money, and we're like very, very successful. But how do we keep ourselves grounded in those times when we're just like, oh, well, this is how we make more money, and then it at the cost of our actual customers?
I think it this comes with incentives, right? Like and I think this is really important for founders, just to understand where you're getting into, and I think it all comes together. So for example, certain businesses require a lot of money to work, a lot of investment. Like if you're doing deep tech or some consumer businesses or marketplaces or things where you need to either invest a lot in R&D or a lot in marketing, those are going to require like a lot of VC dollars. And if you understand how the VC industry works, I mean, for them to work, you need to return like crazy numbers, right? Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
a power law. It's a power law game. Like it's not enough to do a good business. So if you're going down that route, I mean, it's not that they're bad people. They just have their incentives, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how their math works, right? So math doesn't lie. So, and I think once you get into that, you need to understand that that's the game you're playing. And once you're playing that game, you might not have the luxury of doing what you're saying. Even if you
Mm-hmm.
are a good guy and the VC is a good guy or whatever, it is what it is, right? Like you need to return that because they have their
Mm-hmm.
obligation to their LPs and they're going to pressure for that. So I think it's important to understand that all these things you're talking about don't live in a bubble. They are like
Mm-hmm.
they are all part of all the decisions you make and the type of business you do. and all that. And yeah, then the day it's crazy and you have all this pressure and the bank is running out and you need to raise more money, and to raise more money you need to show certain metrics. And in order to show those certain metrics, you cannot really care about any of that because it's so hard that you can only focus on that. And it's kind of a frog, boiling frog. It's, in the thing that you don't realize it's like step by step, but then all of a sudden you're there that you don't recognize what you're doing anymore.
Yeah.
So I had a conversation randomly, like with someone about this, kind of, right? Where this person was like, very like kind of anti-capitalism, and not in the sense of like, oh, I don't like making money and some type of like market, more in the sense of like where capitalism has gotten to the point where it's so big, the numbers are so huge that we have like these people, like all these people with so much, and then so many people with like so little. And explaining like our company and what like our aspirations are for like the future and stuff like that. It was like, oh, but you see, like our mentality, like what she was telling me was our mentality is the problem. And I was like, wait a second, as long as we kind of like stay in touch, like we don't lose sight of the fact that we were the have-nots. And like, yes, we might get the opportunity, God willing, to have a lot more at some point if we do business well. Can't even say right, it's just well. But I think the only way to stay in touch is like you kind of have to, like, it's what we're talking about with like the people, right? You kind of have to still be around people. If you're only around the people that have everything, then you lose sight of what it was to not have anything. If you're only around all the CEOs that have been in the country for so long, you lose sight of the blight of the person coming in first time that needs your help. And you're not going to help them the same way you would when you just went through that process yourself.
Yeah,
So
no, that's that. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. So even as like, Rachel says it all the time where it's like, hey, I don't want to do like my time is better spent doing other things rather than like servicing, let's say, certain clients. And I'm like, yeah, I could,
let's put it out there.
No, but it's the truth. I had to say this to a client the other day. I was like, listen, I have to move more strategically because I have more responsibility of my company. So I can't just go waste time knowing that that's going to like the return is going to, it's like such a small return that I was like, yeah, we can't do that because Josh as a co-founder, like has other responsibilities that he has to get to. So it's not about like was it snubbing my nose? Is that it? Is that the term?
I don't know.
Whatever.
Spiting your nose? No.
You know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to like discard those clients. But I also understand that the best way to be able to help them even in the future is I have to like sit with one of those clients, give them my 5 minutes. I ended up not showing this guy, but I spent 10 minutes in the rain on the corner giving him advice of, hey, this is what you need to be doing. This is like, you know what I mean? So I think
that's probably worth more.
Yeah, I would hope so. But it's not worth me going through, like having to walk him through it, like physically, like let's go walk and like miss out on apartments that you're never going to rent and you're never going to get. So yeah, I think the best way is to like, stay in touch with the people, like all the people. Like if you're trying to help one class, cool. But if you get to the point where you're not even taking those meetings anymore, it's a little bit easier to lose sight of what they actually need and how you could help.
Yeah, and I think so that's very common. Like you end up spending all your time with a very small fraction of humanity, which are very, very different from the majority, and then you think that's reality. So the other day I was talking with a friend, and she was giving me the example that, she was at Silicon Valley talking about something, right? And all the people there were like, yeah, that's worthless because whatever AI and robots is going to make that, very soon in a few years. And she was like, no, they're not. Like these people I know, they are using like, pen, paper, like they're not even using computers. Like, what do you mean? Like you are so, like you start kind of eating
So
your
out of
dog food
touch.
and you think like everything is going to be AI agents and robots like in 2 years. Because again, right, that's the environment. Like I this year I've been to Silicon Valley 2-3 times. I usually go there. Again, I think it's both really exciting and very interesting to be there, because you see some things you don't see anywhere else, and you start to get, some inspiration of things that you could be doing. Like the other day, I talked with another friend that she has taken like agents to another level. Like she doesn't even send emails anymore. Like she has an agent, responding emails to her, and she everything is through her. Like it's very interesting how she's doing and all the efficiency she's getting. So that's one part of that innovation, which is very exciting, and I think it's great to see and to take what you want. But then on the other side, you need to remember that that's not the majority of the world, that's not the majority of the people. And if you only start talking with those people, then you start living in a world where it's not real anymore. It's like that's not reality, that's not people. So yeah, I think that balance between, as Josh was saying, just staying grounded, talk
Yeah.
with people, talk with normal people, not with like that small percentage all the time, is a good balance.
Yeah, I think also like exactly what you said is the perfect like it 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 gets bigger, right? So it's not just the people that you interact with, because like interact with immigrants all the time, right? Like my wife is an immigrant. I'm the child of immigrants. Like I grew up in Miami. Everyone's an immigrant, right? Um, so like, but there's so many places in this country where it's like first world is all they know, and they don't understand that. Like, so like it's like those echo chambers that you find yourselves in, whether it's on purpose or accidental. I think it's like important for a human, no matter whether you're a founder or a, a shopping clerk or whatever. You have to allow the world in. You have to find ways to get the world in if you don't have access to that, right? Because I think it just makes us better humans, right? To know that, because I feel like there's people in this country that probably have no idea that there's some people that just don't have shoes, right? Or don't have access to clean water, right? Because it's a given here.
Yeah. No,
Shout
absolutely.
out to New York City Tap Water. Thank you. Thank you. Made me this big. I love it. God bless.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think what you're saying absolutely, applies to everything. It's just traveling or other cultures or other socioeconomic levels as well, right? Like it's the same. And even, even if you are from some of those countries, you might have grown up in a very privileged area of those countries, and you might have not have contact with other people, right? So it's the same. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of richness in connecting with all of those different places and people. And yeah, eventually, I do think it makes you a better founder, because you do understand that. Again, it's very easy to lose track of that. It's easier than you think. The same way it's easier than you think to really mess up with something you think it's right. Like it has happened to us many times. Like we were developing, I will always remember this. So our first version of the product, we have been working for like a long time, and then we came up with kind of the alpha. We were working on a case, and I went in person to our attorney's office, right? And I actually literally stood up in his office while he was opening the platform and starting to use it. So he used it for like 15 minutes, completely, silent. And then he finished, and I was super excited. And I was like, hey, dude, like, how was it? And he's like, dude, this is significantly worse than Google Drive. That was horrible. That was horrible.
Swift kick in the the plums.
That was horrible. And I was like, what do you mean? And he, gave me like 20 minutes of like why it was so bad and, so uncomfortable and so annoying. And, it took many iterations to even get to the same level he was used to. And then, of course, then we passed through a thing where like, yeah, this is way, way better. But, and I would think that, I built many products before with many companies I was working, we did it with him. So he was involved in the process, and it's hard to believe how hard it is to get it right. And And then once you do it and once you experience it, once you modify it, it's super obvious that that was stupid. But when you're thinking it from day one, it's not, right? And so it's again, and the same thing we're talking about with like how you lose touch. Like it's not obvious how easy it is to lose touch and to be in a place where you completely lost, kind of your direction. But those things happen, and they happen very quickly and more easier than you'd think.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just want to let you know that Mags, our editor, is probably going to use that clip in our trailer.
That's gonna be a good one. No, we did like something similar
She
happened
always
to
finds the
us.
craziest part, like things that we said, and then that's in the trailer.
I usually say stupid stuff, so
Yeah,
that's
me
my
too.
role. Um, no, something similar kind of happened to us where, and I don't even know if Rachel kind of caught it so much because we're thinking like further down the road, like bigger picture stuff, and like trying to move this like project of this database that we're like implementing. And in like the tutorial, one of our agents was like, this is like great and all, but this one word, it was just
Uh-huh.
one word,
Uh-huh.
is like, this doesn't make sense. Like for us, because we're thinking so like for like deeper into it, like we didn't even care about that word. Because that goes to show you, like you said, it gets very easy. Like we started as agents, like that's the foundation of it, right? We're agents, but now we are more than agents, like we're a lot
I
more than
know.
agents. So sometimes it's like we lose sight of like what the agent has to go through and like they're like every day, and we're trying to build this thing for other agents, but with a viewpoint of like a founder, with a viewpoint of like, yeah, let's get to our next podcast, our next like event that we have to like try to host. By the way, we need to host like another event very soon. But yeah, it's funny how that happens, and it's just like it's you're not looking for it to happen. It just one day, like you wake up and now you're in a different
Yeah.
role and you've lost sight of how you got to this role almost.
I think also like for this specific case, like, yes, I'm trying to build something that makes it better for agents, but also I'm trying to make it better for me as the person that like manages, like I'm not managing the agents, I'm managing the company. Josh manages the agents. But like to be able to get all the data, right? To get all the data points that I care about, I need them to enter those data points. Right. And I'm no longer at that point, I don't care what was better for them because I'm like, I need you to do that. So it's like, how do I like balance that, right? Because like as an agent, I'd probably hate having to enter all that stuff, but I'm like, but I need it.
Yeah, and also I think the other thing. So when I started with Tukki, I think for the first 30 cases, I was the paralegal. So I was working with the attorney, and I was doing like all the paralegal work or the annoying work of like all the details, etc. Um, but then when you stop doing that, again, it's extremely easy to forget how hard it was, or how annoying it was, or how long it takes, on all the thing. You forget. You just downplay it. You just say like, yeah, that's easy. That takes 2 minutes. It doesn't take 2 minutes. It takes 30 minutes. But from the outside, you think it takes 2 minutes because that's what happens. And the same happened before for me with McKinsey, right? Like you keep going to a new role, and then 3 months in, you forget how hard it was, like how annoying. And just from the outside, everything looks easier than it is. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing I need to keep reminding myself, like everything I see from the outside and I think it takes 5 minutes, like I automatically multiply that by like 5 or 6. And I said, that's probably the right answer. Not to
Smart.
frustrate your team and saying
Yeah.
them like, hey, this should be like 5 minutes. What are you doing? It's like, no, that's, I had one senior partner at McKinsey that he always did that, and I hated it. He came, you were working at 2 a.m. and you were like, hey dude, like what's with this? Like this should be like 5 minutes. And it's like, no, dude, like, it's not 5 minutes. Come on. Like you haven't done this for 10 years. Like you have no
Yeah.
idea anymore.
Yeah. That's crazy. I'm gonna try to take that though. Like anything that I think is gonna take 5 minutes, multiply by like 5 or 6. I'm gonna try to implement that myself because I feel like also
It's
I'm the same, and I'm also very impatient as a person.
Yeah, me too. So I think just by default, you just you I already accept that I have a distortion between the effort I think it takes and the effort it actually takes. And the other thing, it's I think we always, or at least I always downplay the how long it takes to learn new things. So you have been doing this forever, right? So you think like this is easy, right? Like this is easy.
Mhm.
Like why are you, what's confusing about this? Like why are you not getting this? But then if you start thinking really, really deep when you first learned this, you probably also took the same time, and you probably also it was also confusing.
Mhm.
And now it became so natural to you that you are also like, so maybe you also have, you can also make it maybe now with 5 minutes, but how many years that did that take for you to be able to
Yeah.
do it in 5 minutes, right? So I think that's very important, just to maintain peace, with the team, and not get anyone frustrated.
Yeah. I love that. It's really good. Really good advice.
I have long legs. It takes me 5 minutes to walk from point A to point B. It takes Rachel
Like
8.
double that.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, I feel you.
It's crazy. When we're walking together, he has to like walk at my speed. It's like slow down.
Slow down. Dealing with a bunch of Latinas, I've learned
Mhm.
patience, because none of these people have patience. So someone has to. If you're
And
going
we
to be in
like
the
to
room with
yell.
them, someone has to. That's my job, and to reach the top shelf. It's
And
not
to
a bad
reach the top
life.
shelf.
It's not a bad
Yes.
life.
No. You're very good at it.
Yeah, like I better be this tall. You got to reach that top shelf, with efficiency.
I didn't mean that.
I know. I know.
Okay. Um, so before you started Tukki, you were at McKinsey.
Yes.
So is this the first time that you're a founder? Have you been a founder previously?
I mean, I did create many businesses before, but they were not typical tech startup. So I built some businesses with the music. I built my music school, which eventually got to like 200 students. I had my own orchestra. I had a music production company that were doing things.
We support the arts here.
Yo,
Yeah.
Josh, you have no idea how many lives Ramiro has lived, and I'm fascinated by them.
Yeah, it's been very different things. But
Only
yeah,
the
I mean,
PG stuff here, please. Only the PG stuff here. We're still trying to run a nice family operated business.
yeah.
Mhm.
No, I mean, those were like more like small businesses, right? Like,
Mhm.
like very traditional businesses. This is the first time doing kind of a tech startup, if you will, with raising
Mhm.
money and, like from angel investors and all that, and like growing much faster. But I have been in that position, which again, right, there's very, very similar things. We're still, managing everything and the accounts and the expenses and hiring people and selling and growing like that. That's very,
Mhm.
very similar. It's just at another level. And then even at McKinsey, I was there for a bit more than 5 years. And for 2 or 3 of those, I spent it mostly working with like building businesses for other companies. So
Mm.
it was not my business, but we were still like drafting the business plan and hiring people and building the first product and getting it to market. So there are some things that you don't manage, like again, capital or expenses or whatever, but then you still are building something from scratch. So that was a great experience for me to learn. Again, some things are not transferable at all, but other things are very, very transferable, right? At the same time. So um, I was lucky enough to have all that experience before jumping into Tukki, because I did learn a lot of things that worked and didn't work and problems and all those things.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty cool. Um, so this is the first one that you're like been raising money for, and you said you raised from angels, and now you're at 43 North, right? So how's that been? Because also like we're like playing with that idea now of like potentially raising money for like the product that we're trying to build as well. Kind of how you guys do it.
I
So
think,
tell
yeah,
me everything.
no, yeah, I think raising from angel investors is very, very different from raising from VCs.
Mhm.
So again, going back to incentives, I think the angel investors and VCs incentives are very different, right? Angel investors don't report to anyone; it's their money. They don't need like 100x return. They need like a good business outcome. And then also many times when angel investors invest, it's either because they believe in you, they want you to succeed, or they are passionate about the space you're in and they want to be involved, they want to be part of it. So I think it's more than money, situation. You are not like a professional investor necessarily. You just want, you think this is cool. You like the team. You're excited about what they're building, and it's a part of being part. It's a way of being part of that company. Like we send monthly investors updates, to everyone. We have for the last 2.5 years, every single month we send an update with, how the business is doing, good things that happened, bad thing that happened, asks for them. So I think that's great. I don't see any downside in raising from angel investors. I think it's only upside. And also, you start having kind of free advisors in a way,
Mm-hmm.
because they invested in it. So they want this to succeed. So many times I have called many of these, investors and asked them for their advice and had a conversation on different topics. So it's great, or an intro or other things. So I think raising from angels is great. Of course, the only thing is like the checks are going to be significantly smaller, so you need way more. You're not going to raise for like 4 or 5 people. It's like way more, depending on the angels you get, right? Like sometimes the check is slow at like 10K, sometimes it's like 50K, 20K. Maybe you'll get someone from 100 or 200, but the typical thing is more than the 10 to 20K, at least in my experience. But for me, it has been great. Like I don't see any downside. And again, you get an army of free advisors in a way, and people that are invested in you, and you can call them without blushing because it's their business as well, and they can make intros, etc. So yeah, I think that has been great for us. And then 43 North, for anyone listening that they don't know what it is, it's a big New York State competition in Buffalo that many people apply, like 1,000 startups every year, 5 win, and then if you win, you get $1 million from them, and you get a program that they help you with many things. Has also
There's a
been great. Like
caveat. There's a caveat. You have to move to Buffalo for a year.
you need to move to Buffalo to a year. And by the way, this is the last time they are doing it because they are
No.
progressing into other initiatives. So this year is the
Okay.
last competition.
Dang,
All right.
Uh,
Nice.
I didn't want to move to
and-
Buffalo, but cool.
We can't move to Buffalo. Our
No,
business
Yeah.
is in the
it
city.
wouldn't work. It wouldn't work.
Yeah. No, but it's been great, and they have been very helpful beyond the money, like with connections and help and everything. So I think that's been very helpful for us. But again, they are a different type of capital, right? I
Mhm.
think it's really, really important to understand when you're raising capital, what are the trade-offs, right? And what you're getting into. Again, it's great to raise a lot of money. It's very comfortable in the short term. But then again, you need to think like, what are the implications for the next 5 years or for the next 10 years, not just for now. And we are very comfortable both with the angel investors and with 43 North.
So, do you think you're going to go the VC route later, or you're kind of just not there yet?
never say never, because every time I say I won't do something, I end up doing it. So I don't do that anymore. I've done that many times in my life.
I need to learn that.
Yeah, I don't do that anymore, because every single time I say I won't do that ever in my life. Like when I started the MBA, I was about to start, and my dad told me, like, you never know, you might end up working for McKinsey, and I was like, what's McKinsey? Like, I didn't even know what McKinsey was. And he described what McKinsey was. And I was like, yeah, there's no fucking way I'm going to do that ever in my life. And then I was there for 5 years, and that happened to me many, many times. So for that reason, I don't do that anymore. But I don't think so. Like, I don't think we're going to go the VC route. There's a few, like at least for me, the rationale for going the VC route would be if we want to go for an inorganic growth strategy and we want to start buying and rolling up law firms. Like that would be kind of the only reason in my mind right now to do that. But I've also seen M&A, and I've also seen how hard it is to maintain that being positive. So if I had to bet money right now, I would bet we won't go that route. Because I'm also not interested in many of those. Like, I don't care about being a billionaire. I don't care about this business being $500 million in revenue. Like, if we get there, great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you get there, great. But it's not number one priority in my list. And I mean, if it takes longer, it takes longer. Like, I have all the time in the world. I'm having a great time. I don't care. I don't care if it takes 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. Like, I don't care. Like, if you're enjoying the journey, like, why rush?
Mhm.
What's the urgent need of getting to a certain revenue point like next year if you're having fun and if you're in profitability and you can keep growing? So I am more interested in that and the type of growth we're getting and the sustainable growth, and not, running with your hair on fire like every day, like everything is burning. And
You still have hair, so you're in good
yeah,
shape.
exactly. I don't want it to burn,
Um, cool. So I'm going to end by asking you, what's a piece of advice that you would give us as we embark on this journey of investment?
I mean, I think if you've I would start, the famous FFF, like friends, family, and fools
Hmm.
things. So I think it's significantly easier to raise money from people that know you, that trust you, or that they believe in what you're trying to accomplish. Because if not, it's a hard sell. Like, it's a really hard sell. Y- y- yeah, it's just a hard sell, because a lot of for someone to invest in your business, there's not much yet, right? We are both very early. We're starting. So when you look at it, and I have always hated the question, like, what's your moat? It's like, I
Hmm.
don't think I
Hmm.
have a moat, but I also don't think like 99% of companies have a moat either.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's all
so
made up.
it's all made up, right? It's all made up. Like, if OpenAI can be copied in like 2 years with all the money and all the researchers and everything, like, if they can be copied in 2 years and surpassed, like, what's there for the rest of us, right? Like, there's very, very little moats in this world, but that's what investors are trying to look for. But then if they know you, they trust you, then they don't need that, because they trust that you are going to make it work one way or the
Hmm.
other. And I think that makes the conversation significantly easier. I would say it's very, very hard to get money when you're early stage, when there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of uncertainty. And if they don't even, like, at the end of the day, they are betting in you, right? So it's much easier when they have known you for years or whatever. I would say 80% of our initial round, or 90. I mean, I need to think, but probably 100% actually was from either friends, family, or people that had worked with us. And probably the biggest one was people that had worked with us or seen us work, and they trusted us that we could make it work one way or the other. And also, I think when we made the calculation, I think like 60-70% were immigrants themselves. So they actually
Hmm.
understood the problem, cared about the problem, and they wanted to do their part to make it, to make a better system for others. So I think those two things, like caring about what you're doing and knowing you, that's kind of the sweet spot, in my opinion, for racing.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. That's very, very helpful. All right. So let's wrap it up.
For real, tell people where they find you. Promote, plug, socials, all that stuff. Go ahead. This is your time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we are at Tukki.ai, so tukki.ai. That's the website. Tukki on LinkedIn, we're pretty active on Instagram. So yeah, I mean, or me personally on LinkedIn, I always get, people reaching out to talk about immigration or whatever. So happy to help.
Sweet.
Sweet. Rach, where
Um,
can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Rachel Fiegler. You could find Pinpoint at our website, pinpoint.nyc. We're on LinkedIn, Pinpoint Group, Instagram, Pinpoint Group. Somebody tells me we're on TikTok. We have obviously our podcast, which you can find wherever you get podcasts, and YouTube.
Newsletter.
Our newsletter, which you can get on our website. Yeah, all that good stuff.
And check out NYC Bound.
It's on our website.
That's our
It's on our-
relocation division.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Josh Hernandez. This is an actual epic moment. So I've come to the conclusion, people. You're not gonna find me in the streets like that anymore.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You're like classic clothes?
my
We're
classic
not. We're
clothes,
not.
like
You can find me on the streets.
you're gonna
People are gonna
actually
like
have to
attack you
reach
with
out to
lattes.
me like an
Oh,
adult. Email. If you know, you know, text. If you know, you know, text. But
it's a
the
huge
street
movement.
life and running, trying to make these deals out in the street is about to be over. My partner needs me to put on my tight little dress and go get some money from angel investors or investors. We're taking on we're taking on everyone.
That's right.
But no,
Yes.
you will still find me in New York trying to make the best deals possible, trying to make these connections with so many people. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Always a pleasure.
This was fun. I
Yeah.
mean, we always invite good people and have fun. All right. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Thank you.
Peace.